Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jax and Aurelia. Jax and Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it, Jax and Aurelia. T-Force.
Welcome to the rework of the T-Force. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like you're Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like Malphite planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. Thank you so much for watching live. If you're out there and working through every single bit of technical difficulty that Punchinello seems to have tonight.
My bad.
My bad, guys. My bad. My name is Adam Potophobia Cogswell, and you're listening to episode number 234 of the Trinity Force Podcast. Of course, this is a special episode as it is patch 5.3 rundown.
Hooray!
We're actually going to make it through a patch in one single episode.
I don't know.
Probably because we only have 3 people here.
I was gonna say, you say that, and let's leave that for the jury to decide.
We'll
when
find
we get
something
to
to argue on somewhere.
So, fun fact, I have historically, every time I have said we're going to have a short episode, and this goes all the way back to when I first started podcasting, like 6 years ago, back with Rocket Jump. Historically, every time I've said we're going to have a short episode, we go long. So let's see if that happens again tonight, and we actually have a short episode. Because like you said, somebody finds something to argue about. But you know what we're not going to argue about is the Trinity Force Smackdown Edition, the Battle Arena Smackdown Edition. I talked about this on episode 233. Just so you guys out there who didn't listen to episode 233, go listen to it to get the full... the full gambit of information, but the TLDR of it is I need 5 platinum and diamonds, actually I need 10 platinum and diamonds, and I need 5 silver, bronze, or gold players that are willing to donate money. This is a donation-only invitation type of thing to get in and play against the platinum and diamond players. So the low division players, gold, silver, bronze, are going to play against the platinum and diamonds. But it's not just playing against them. What's going to happen is you're going to play against them, and they're going to give you feedback. And then there's going to be 5 platinum and diamonds that are going to be watching from the spectate view. And they're going to be assigned to each one of you, and they're going to give you feedback throughout the whole game. And you're going to get a replay of the game from your point of view, from the spectate point of view, and you're going to be able to get feedback from that. And the shoutcasters who normally do Battle Arena, Haberdashing, Kargan, and everybody else, Badger as well, will be giving you the overall Battle Arena style shoutcasting. So you're going to get it from all these different angles, and that's why this is a premium event. What we're going to do is we're going to put a sign-up sheet, and for a minimum donation of $5, you'll be able to get all of this. And basically, your donations are going to go to helping all these people out that are helping you, because we want to be able to just be able to give each person like a skin or something for using 2 or 3 hours of their time on a Saturday to help you out.
That should be a fantastic way to learn, and if you enjoy getting your ass kicked, all the better.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody said butthurt arena. That's pretty much it, because you just need to go in expecting to get beat. And I promise I'm going to be yelling at every one of these platinum diamond players.
You don't even necessarily expect to get beat. Just go in there and do your best. And no matter what level that you go in at, you'll get some good feedback. So don't look at it as like, you don't look at it as, oh, I'm going to go get crushed, because who knows? You might, do great and your mechanics are on point, but you just weren't paying attention to words, or there's so many other little mistakes that could be made. So
maybe there's one single fatal flaw that if somebody points out and you finally realize it, and then you can get to the next level because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so if you are interested in coming in and playing against these players, and you will be getting to play against Punch and myself, potentially playing against like Punch and myself and Chira, or you'll be able to play against other diamonds and plats. Like, I've got a bunch of people that have already said they want to help. I think I have enough, but if you're still interested out there and you still want to throw your name in the hat, feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com if you're platinum or diamond and want to help people. Like, you have a legitimate passion for helping players get better at this game. And with that said, after this is done, I'll be talking to some of those players to become Battle Arena casters. And if you're out there, you're a budding shoutcaster, but you also are trying to find a way to help players get better at this game, I'm looking for you. You can also email feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. We want to get more Bronze Bootcamp shoutcasters where we can have 2 or 3 games going on 2 or 3 different channels, because we have so many people that are trying to sign up for Bronze Bootcamp and Battle Arena. So, yeah, if you just want to go out there, you want to help shoutcast, whatever, just send me an email. Tell me what you want to do. There's a spot in the network family for you. I guarantee it. These guys have seen all the emails we've been slinging around all week. Like, there's shit going on in the back end right now.
It's a madhouse.
I can't get anything done at work because there's so many emails.
I feel terrible. Every time somebody who could lord over me at work walks by, I feel like I'm reading an email and I'm like, I should probably pay attention to what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Yeah, there's things going on in the back end, and I will give you guys like a hint. In the next couple of months, we will have a new website out for you that's going to have like a lot of great features onto it. It's not going to be your bare bones, and you guys will hopefully want to go there to get all your content. So it's just kind of a sneak peek. I know I've been talking about it, but if you guys remember Filthy Casuals, you remember the guild we had started to sponsor? Alex, he is starting to work on at the front end. And the Filthy Casuals on Lightbringer, they are Alliance, are still looking for you guys out there. So if you go to fk.trinityforcepodcast.com and you are playing World of Warcraft and you're looking for a guild to transfer to that raids, they raid every Tuesday and Thursday. And they're streaming and they're progressing through Blackrock Foundry and all that. And they really want more people to get into this I'd say not semi-casual. What's the other word for it? Hardcore.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
They're very dedicated. I just want to say that they're not like 5 days a week. They're doing 2 or 3 days a week because they're adults and they have other lives. But yeah, Filthy Casuals. These guys are great.
I mean, that's still a legit rating schedule. That's fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's what I used to do.
One other announcement. Oh yeah, go to donate.trinityforcepodcast.com if you want to donate, by the way. If you're out there, you were thinking about it, you can't find the donate button, we set up donate.trinityforcepodcast.com for you. Make it really simple and easy. That is it. We're going to jump right into patch 4.3. A fairly small patch, all things considered. For over the last 6 months, it feels like we've just had these giant
massive patch after massive patch after bigger changes after more Azir bug fixes after everything else.
They will never end.
Yep.
Well, what are you gonna do, right?
They'll still be fixing Azir.
Hey, it keeps giving us stuff to talk about, so I'm not complaining.
One of these days, I'm gonna make a podcast where I just talk about all of the old stuff that happened, because I remember there was days that I would try to scrape shit together to talk about because we wouldn't go over patch notes, and now I feel like Riot is just giving us stuff to talk about every week. Like they're doing my job for me, But we're gonna jump right into the patch notes and talk about DFG first and foremost. The DFG gets mentioned in the patch notes and how they said. They originally had said in 5.3 and 5.4 they were going to start tweaking champions that didn't have DFG, but they were slowly realizing that these champions don't actually need DFG to be viable.
Yeah, apparently wasn't as big of a factor as they thought it was in the removal of it. So they're kind of putting off some of those proposed, or at least back-end changes that they're still deciding whether they want to put in or not until they continue to see what data rolls in. But a lot of the champions that supposedly relied on DFG still doing pretty well.
I'm glad they brought this up in the patch because it was one of those things where I've thought it a couple times where I'm like, I didn't really need DFG in Ahri. I'm still doing really well. Like, I don't do well in Ahri, but I could tell I could do moderately well if I was better at the character type of thing. And I haven't played Veigar, but I just assume you wouldn't need it on him either because like DeClawd talked about last week, your R is your delete button, and then you are more or less deleting somebody with a QW combo anyway, or bringing them close enough to have your team follow up.
It was pretty much overkill when you got DFG.
Yeah.
You didn't really need it, but I guess you could kill somebody twice as opposed to just killing them a time and a half.
If you're already burning the house down, why not throw another torch at it?
Sure.
Well put. Yeah, anybody else who would use DFG, it just, I don't know. I agree with this. Like, they removed the item and everyone thought it was going to be like this massive wave, but like LeBlanc is still really strong. Ahri got a buff, but like
Katarina's still really strong.
Yeah, Katarina's really strong. But if anything that changed the game, it's that they started changing champions before they removed DFG. Like they automatically changed Ahri and Fizz, and it made one better and the other worse.
Well, and I think that might have just been
like a knee-jerk reaction.
Well, it's one of those things. If you nerf two things that people are building or one champion uses, like it multiplicatively influences whatever happens. And since for the most part the changes to Fizz you could definitely see as a nerf because they changed the way certain abilities interacted and all that other stuff, and then the removal of DFG, which I personally never built on him, but some people did. That can hurt him. At the same time, they take DFG away from Ahri, but they give her
a move speed
bonuses like the move speed. Yeah. So I mean,
and increased base damage.
And Riot brings this up. You see a lot of these like how assassin mages instead going back into more of a just big damage mage, not necessarily delete you out of nowhere sort of thing. But if they get that far ahead, they can still do it anyway because they're building the AP to be able to do it. So, I mean, they're still going to be chunking you. It's just the difference between chunking you in one small, like very small period of time, or hitting you really, really hard over the course of a fight, and then you're dead because you still do a ton of damage.
I might be wrong, but I kind of want to make the argument that that active items don't get used as often as they should get used.
Well,
and that's more or less players forget to use them even though they have them.
And that was actually another piece that Riot brought up. They said that you saw more of how great DFG was at a higher level because those players were using them in way better circumstances, or not forgetting to use them in certain fights. I mean, in the dabbling that I've done in the mid lane, there are times where I'd forget to use an active, whether it be DFG or Zhonya's, and I'm sitting there after the fight's ended and I'm dead, and I'm like, I could have completely changed up that entire situation if I had remembered to use something like that. So
I know for Veigar, for example, who you build DFG at some point on him to completely delete two people. Playing him in Aram is the only time I'll ever play Veigar, but the combo, in my opinion, is so hard to get off that I would forget to hit DFG because you have to do it really fast. That's why, because it's 1R WQ type of thing, or W then R. Like you have to throw it all down, and of course the E stuns them all, and I just could never get it down because I don't play enough Veigar. So adding that extra piece didn't make me want to build the item. So we'll see where the game continues to go and what changes they make. I don't expect them to make sweeping changes on any more characters because of DFG's removal.
I expect to see some tweaks, but nothing major like they did with Ahri or Fizz. Because as you hinted before, I think the Ahri changes were definitely a knee-jerk, considering what they've done in this match to Ahri.
Yeah, let's just make the champion way better than what she was before.
Why not?
So you guys will see there was a bug with Sona's base stats. If you read the notes, Riot actually tells us why, because they took a screenshot of the champion before they made changes to it, and then over the course of a couple patches, those the old changes were stayed like before the tweak. So they're just tweaking her back to where she's supposed to be right now. These aren't buffs.
Well, I think it's actually, when I agree with you when I first read this, and when I reread this, it sounds like this is what the stats she has now with this patch are the snapshot stats, meaning they're going to go back soon as they can get a bug fix in. But for now, she's kind of reverted back to her base stats from several patches ago.
Yeah, she's back to all her old base stats pre-champion update. While we considering, Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
they're reverting her back so they can fix the bug.
Right.
Gotcha.
They considered disabling her, but they didn't think that the change was severe enough to completely take her out of the game. So they're going to leave it as is for now, put a bug fix in to fix these stats back to what they should be as soon as possible.
Oh, hooray. I'm sure there's so many people that are going to take advantage of less health growth per level and stuff like that. So we'll move on. Ahri, she got a change. Orbit Deception, now the cost is higher. It is 10 mana. At all. It looks like 10 mana at all ranks. Oh, no. Yes, 10 mana at all ranks. She gains an additional 10 mana at all ranks. W, Foxfire. Foxfire's rotation speed has been increased by 30%. That means if Ahri's hitting a champion with Foxfire at maximum range, she won't have to wait as long for other Foxfires to rotate closer. And I've been playing Ahri now that her Q got changed, and I have noticed that at least one of the Foxfires won't go off if you're like kind of running or trying to use your movement to get around the champion because they don't rotate quick enough.
Yeah, it's a significant buff. I mean, it also increases her damage flow, or how much damage she gets in a shorter period of time, because those charges go off faster.
But the damage has been decreased. It was like 50, 80, 110, 140, 170. It's now 40, 65, 90, 115, 140. So it's a significant damage decrease at level 2 and above.
Yeah, from a maximum of 30 damage less at max rank, which is painful.
That is pretty painful. I don't think it's going to take her out of contention. It just makes it so, it really just stops it from anybody that was going to max Foxfire in lane and use Q for mobility, like we had mentioned a couple patches ago.
That's exactly. I mean, that's the thing. You're now going to max Q over W for the most part,
which I think people are doing that anyways.
Yeah,
I'm sure they.
That's the traditional way you do it with Q over W anyway. That's the playstyle they want her to have, and I think with just the threat of having W take over. Because W damage was pretty crazy. I think they're bringing this kind of back to where it needs to be. Plus, I don't know if you guys have played against Ahri lately, or I mean, pay attention to any of the stuff that's going on in the LCS. Ahri's really scary, so she definitely needs to be taken back a little
something
bit.
to bring on her acquisition range for W went from 650 to 550, so it's lost 100 units of range. So really, this change makes it so you can't bully out those range champions as well as you could before with that W, and you're doing less damage to anybody who's on full contact on you. For somebody that has such high mobility and it's really hard to catch anyway, they shouldn't be. I like this change because anybody that's caught when they have that much mobility shouldn't be able to just blow you up right in your face anyway.
Right.
There should be a punishment for them catching you because you did something wrong with your mobility.
And they also make it so that she has to be a bit riskier to get closer for her damage, because they made a similar change to her ultimate, 100 less acquisition range on Spirit Rush. So yeah, she has to take some risks, at least get within that 100 range closer in order to get her full damage combo off, as opposed to like dancing around on the perimeter where they can't get to you, because she's got enough range and enough mobility that she'll just kill you without you being able to respond.
Yeah,
which is fun.
I don't think this changes too much. I don't think this takes her down to... This might take her out of banned prison, but I don't think so. I think players will still be too scared of her mobility that damage doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think she'll still be good. Very good.
If anything, this changes something at high-level play where she's just a little more weak early than she was previously because she can't spam Q as often and be as mobile, so people have to make decisions. But like, it's kind of like the Lucian thing. A long time ago when Lucian came out, I always said he'll always be good as long as he can get the double shot off. And he's still a good champion. He's just not... He's not that, like... I was telling... This is funny. This brings me to a funny thing, because earlier I was talking to Asterishan about this, and he was asking me, what does viability mean in a champion? And I said, well, you don't need to worry about... it's not about viability, it's about overpowered. And the term overpowered has been changed significantly when people think about it, because if you look on a scale of 1 to 10, if one champion's 8 and one champion's 9, or if every champion is 8 and one champion's 9, that champion 9 is overpowered. And that's where I'm getting at with some of these champions is, all pro players will pick that 9 champion over the 8,
right?
Because it's overpowered, because they can make something happen with that extra step of power.
Well, and that for them, 1 step of power may as well be the difference between 10 steps of power. If there's a champion that is less powerful in their opponent's hands, they can take advantage of a situation in ways that...
advantage of something that the kit...
Yeah, that regular players wouldn't even necessarily notice, so...
But regular players will follow the pros anyways, just because they see this champion on LCS doing very well, and they're like, I want to play that champion.
Like AD Fizz top?
Right, exactly. Yeah, LCS is heavily influences the player base and what they choose. So even if, like you said, Ahri is just a 9 as opposed to a bunch of other mid champions that are 8s, people are probably going to still favor her if she's still played in the LCS a lot.
Right. Well, and another champion we've seen play in the LCS, which is next to this patch note, is Azir. And, excuse me. They go through, if you read through the patch notes, what they'll say is, Riot will say that Azir had the best of both worlds. He's a big lane bully and a hyper carry late game.
What they're saying is Azir is OP.
Yeah. And that's a 9 step here. And that's one of the reasons, honestly, one of the reasons I tried to play Azir, because I could see that in Azir. I just couldn't execute it very well. I still like to play him. If I played him more, I think I'd get really good at him. But you can definitely tell he's a giant lane bully in mid lane. He's pushing out all those, all the mages. And then once he's got enough AP, all his abilities scale so well into the late game that you don't even need to auto attack with the soldiers to do chunks of damage. Plus, you're really safe because you can protect your team with your R, and you get a little bit extra. You get a little extra bit of shield if you E to a soldier. So you can do some really cool plays with him. He's a high skill skill cap champion, and that's what they're focusing on at this point. Where conquering Sands Q, the base damage has been decreased by 10, 15, 20. It's actually a significant damage increase across all ranks.
Damage decrease.
Right, that's what I meant.
Goes down to minus 50 damage at max rank.
Right.
Which
That's
is
a
a lot.
significant change. Q conquering sands. Now, this is something that I don't know about Azir. Is that for each soldier? Or I think each soldier that hits does less damage, right?
Yeah. The first soldier, if one soldier does the most, and then like the next soldier does a percentage of the damage. Every soldier that hits does a percentage less than a soldier that hits before it.
Right. Yeah, so stopping him from being, such a lane bully, such a mid bully, taking out this damage, and a Rise has the soldier's stab range decreased to 325 from 400. And actually, I think this is the biggest nerf to him over all the damage, is because you could poke people out from really far away.
Well, that you could completely, if you were doing it right, you could throw down your sand soldiers near minion waves and just zone people out from the mere threat of your soldiers being there.
Yep.
Not
Big
allowing them to
zoning.
farm. Yeah. So nerfing that range, that's huge because that takes away a ton of his just early game easy mode. Keep you from farming starter material.
Mid lane Azir big time. Like top Azir really isn't all that great. Mid lane Azir is where
Right.
it's at, and that's because you had that extra 75 units to poke a mid lane champion who's ranged, and if that 25 units is the difference between somebody's auto attack range or just outside of somebody's auto attack range, it keeps them almost away from experience range.
And the other big part of this too, it gets down to when it comes down to fights, you're gonna have to position these soldiers so much more like effectively in better spots because you're missing 75 range worth of space. So if you don't throw stuff in the right spot, you might be that fraction of a bit away from being able to hit their AD carry.
Times that I hit somebody with like the edge of the spear as they were walking away, and it was probably anywhere between 25 and 75 units. Like this is. I think a lot of people are going to notice this, and this is going to hurt a lot of those mediocre players, and it's really good. And it's not going to hurt so much the players that are playing the LCS.
Right.
It's definitely going to hurt those mediocre Azir players more than anybody. So, moving on, Diana, she got to change her passive. Now displays a number of stacks and remaining duration. And Pale Cascader W, spears now rotate at roughly double the speed.
Ooh.
So that's a buff.
That's a damage increase.
Yep, that's a buff.
Yep, damage will come out faster, and you'll be able to get your shield faster.
Right.
What's the problem?
I think Skara was like, "Ooh, yay, passive Moon Silver Blade," because I was watching him play Diana the other day, and he was like 1, 2. All right, I'm on 3. What? I thought I was on 3, and I'm actually on number 2. So now you can look down and see what you're at.
All right.
Nice quality of life change.
Hooray.
And a damage increase. I think
Maybe
Diana is
just
actually
fair.
pretty powerful in the mid lane right now. Because once she hits 6, she's pretty unstoppable. She's like a Kassadin in that regard. She just doesn't have the mobility after that.
There are certain champions that that she dumpsters. I mean, she has issues against other champions, but there are certain people that she just once she can close the gap, they're not getting away in the amount of time it takes for her to throw her damage at them, and one trade could be the difference between being able to farm and having to sit way back because she can just go back in on you. So I don't know. I personally like when Diana's kind of scary anyway, when she's in contention, just because I think the champion's pretty cool, even if she can be an annoying, almost faux tank mega mage, but because that's how she started out. I don't know if anybody else remembers Diana when she was the demon of mid lane, but yeah, she's a bitch. I still, part of me loves the idea of a mage bruiser that is actually good at her job, his job, whatever.
No, that sounds just ridiculous. No, Lancer actually makes a really good point right here that we should bring up, that the W change means that W is off cooldown more quickly now. Because once it uses everything, you get the second shield. The cooldown starts ticking. So the faster that it can use up the orbs and use the shield, the faster you can get your.
That's a huge quality of life buff.
So
yeah, it gives her a lot of benefits without changing any numbers. It's a very elegant tweak. I like it.
yeah, something that's really easy to look over. And honestly, I listened to Black and Nola's TLDR patch notes. I don't even think he brought that up, like that her W moves more quickly. So this is not a shot at him because it's TLDR patch notes, but that's not going to give you everything you're looking at, because this could be a giant buff that turns her back into a powerhouse in the mid lane or top lane, because she gets the damage out more quickly, gets the shield up more quickly.
Well, and that it's little things like that. How many times have little things like that made the difference between a champion coming back or not coming back, or just the idea of somebody getting a buff like this? People start playing her again, and then next thing you know, oh,
so are you gonna play
she's
her in the
been good
jungle
for
now?
a while.
Yeah, DeClawd mentions jungle. This should help her clear speed, right?
Yeah, it's not just going to help her clear speed. It's going to help her survivability, because if the shield's up more often, you're not taking as much damage. So I've been dabbling a little bit with Diana in the jungle, and I think it's a lot of fun. But this is just going to make it all that much better. So I'm excited.
Cool.
Who knew such a little change, air quotes here, could change a champion so dramatically. Right. Fiddlesticks W drain range, tether range is now 650 from 700, so you can walk out of it a little more quickly.
I feel like they've done this before, where they've reduced a tether range.
It was like 800 before, if I remember correctly.
They also reduced like fear range at some point, if I remember correctly. And it's funny, Fiddle is kind of a low radar problem champion, whether it be his E spreading too many silences and them nerfing that, the W range. Again, this might be the second time they've lowered the tether duration. The fact that they changed fear up, and fear fears you away from somebody who gets a benefit
and
of
he
tether.
Doesn't bounce to the same target more than once.
And the crazy thing is, he's still one of the highest win rate champions.
Oh yeah,
because all you got to do is press R.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he is a massive team fight changer. Surprise!
It takes a lot of effort to shut him down and to properly play against him.
Right. I don't think quality of life change. You just have to run away from Fiddlesticks a little further before than you did. Like, great. It doesn't. I don't think this makes the change between life or death. Pro Fiddlestick players, I'm talking about the people who just main him, may have 1,000 games on him, are probably going to be bitching about this change. But
right.
You're going to learn to adapt because you were making team fight changes by jumping over the Wraith wall with R anyway. So
yeah. I mean, if anything, you're going to get one tick less off.
And that could be life or death.
I mean, that definitely could be life or death. But I mean, that's better than them just cutting it down to the point where it ticks or only lasts half as long, or them nerfing the range on his Dark Wind, or
it presents an opportunity for more counterplay.
Yeah, or now, I mean, if you have something that can speed you up, you can get out of range of it quicker. If you have a dash, you can live that much longer. I don't know. This definitely adds more counterplay. It's going to be. I doubt it's going to be a huge change.
Well, speaking of
that big of a
almost
change,
impossible counterplay, we're not trying to make Gnar disappear, but teams should have to have work a little harder than just picking Jarvan for shots fired. That was Ryan about Gnar right now, because if you saw Gnar picked, you knew Jarvan was coming shortly after.
Yeah,
because he makes. For those of you who don't know how Narvin works, Jarvan makes a wall, and Gnar ults everybody into the Jarvan wall, and they all get stunned. That is. Narvin.
And in fact, if Gnar just ults people close to that wall, since it's shaped in a giant bullseye on the map, he has a lot of spots that you can just happen to run into the edges of it, and boom, a team is stunned. That combo is disgusting. Disgusting. And though it doesn't have like 100% win rate or anything like that, still really, really good.
Yeah. So a patch ago, we saw that Gnar's Q had been changed so that it has a longer cooldown, because they were trying to force players to really manage his rage bar. And now they're hitting it even harder in this one, where the tired debuff duration has gone from 13 seconds to 15 seconds. So it takes him 15 seconds after he's Mega Gnar to be able to start getting rage to turn into Mega Gnar again. And then Mega Gnar duration is now 15 seconds. The note says 15, but it actually lasted for 4 seconds longer than it should have. Okay. And that was enough time to get an extra cooldown or another rock throw or pounce or whatever it may be during that duration. So they just want players. I like that they want more skilled players to play Gnar, or for you to be skilled to play him, and not just I'm Mega Gnar and I win the team fight.
Yeah, they're also giving teams a larger window of opportunity to play against the Gnar. So I mean, because you're not going to engage when he's about to turn into Gnar, and when he's about to turn into Mega Gnar. When he's in Mega Gnar form, you have to wait for that to go away, and then all right, now we can finally engage. Well, now he has to wait longer before he can start building rage back up, and the team doesn't have to wait as long before Mega Gnar goes away. So, shorter window for him to engage, larger window for the enemy team to engage.
This you know what this hurts? This hurts lane Gnar quite a bit, because
that too.
You've got to wait an extra 2 seconds to start getting rage again, and you have 4 less seconds of zoning potential. And over the course of an entire laning phase, if I have an extra 2 seconds or an extra 4 seconds here and there to make up for something that I did wrong, that can turn a fight around. I mean, this game is all about minutes. And
I want somebody to do the math over the uptime based on seconds that Gnar is usually Mega Gnar in lane with the stuff pre-patch and then what it's going to be now afterwards if Gnar form was up almost every time it could be up. Because with the amount of time throughout the entire laning phase, that's probably going to be
4 less seconds every time he transforms.
Yeah, I mean, what? 30 seconds less of Mega Gnar in the laning phase, which for people who've played Gnar gets really, really scary when he turns into Mega Gnar, and you kind of are forced to back off unless you want to take a lot of damage to the face.
One less Mega Gnar transformation, which is one less giant buff increase, because you could use Mega Gnar for free life. While
I mean, it's free sustain.
Free life. Yeah. So I think this hurts. I think this hurts lane Gnar more than hurts team fight Gnar. It's nice, like Punch was saying earlier, where you don't have to wait as long and dance around Dragon as long to be able to start Dragon, because you have the threat of Gnar standing there.
Right.
But yeah, I think this really does this hurts the really good lane Gnars a lot. And I've already said that. Like, I'm not afraid of Gnar for the most part. I haven't met like amazing Gnars. But that might be because I'm only at Plat 3. Like maybe there's no good ones here. I don't know. So, Urtai would disagree with me and tell me that Gnar is amazing and should be banned and picked every time. But he's not on the podcast, so you can't yell at me.
I also find it funny, and this was brought up on Reddit a couple weeks ago, where Riot had stated when they came up with Gnar that if Gnar was being picked in competitive play consistently, that means they had failed with the champion and the way that the champion kit was supposed to be played.
Yeah, it was designed to be unreliable, an unreliable kit.
Yeah.
Even with the unreliableness, he's still a monster champion. And that's not even a joke. Like, yeah, he turns into a monster, but he is a really, really good champion who crushes people.
Yeah.
So
if Mega Gnar, if you are Mega Gnar and you can get a good team fight, you can get a good ult off, it just completely changes the pace of a team fight. I'll give you that.
You pretty much win the fight.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play Gnar. I was thinking about today. I'm like, I know he's getting all these nerfs, but I kind of want to go back and try to play him again.
I mean, if anything, if he's getting all the nerfs, that means he's going to be banned less, or people are going to stop playing him. So the people who continue to play him, if he's still good, are going to be all the better for it, because he's still going to be good. And you're getting the experience playing him where everybody else is starting to teeter off. So go play him.
Well, Gragas has been changed as well, that his base slow and his maximum slow has been increased. His maximum slow been significantly increased. At max rank, it's 90% slow now. The base slow at max rank is 60% from 50, and at base, it's 30 to 40. So I know, Cheer, I'll leave this to you. You can play.
So have
Did you
fun.
mention this is on his queue?
What?
What's that?
I don't think you mentioned this was on his queue.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I think I said
still on his
barrel
queue.
roll, but if I didn't, yeah, it's cute.
Oh, okay. It's on his queue, guys.
Yeah, so long range slow. Beautiful. I've been playing Gragas out of the jungle. He's a bunch of fun. This just adds a lot more utility if you can get the center of that barrel on somebody and get a 90% slow, because it's a 90% slow. That's
barely
It
you're
might as well,
not
it might as well
moving.
be a root at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, you have a ranged Maokai W almost. I mean, not as good, but it's pretty
Maokai
close.
W, because that's not already ranged. And
Yeah.
you mean a range Maokai Q?
It's like a 4 times the Maokai distance. Like Maokai's W, it's been nerfed. You know?
Yeah.
Multiply the distance by
Maokai
4.
Q, like a one
No,
that you can
I mean,
throw, because
just
Q
slow.
slows.
Oh, it does?
And that's
Yeah.
fine, but the W root doesn't last all that long on Maokai. It lasts just to grab somebody. The Gragas barrel is a 90% slow. That's borderline a root. It's basically a long-range Maokai W, except they can move slightly.
Okay,
All right.
pal.
You get what I'm saying?
I don't. This argument is not worth having, because it's silly.
That was great. I loved it. I have a better understanding of what this does now. Thank you, Chira.
Kassadin,
Yeah.
minus 10 damage on Q. That's it.
Yep.
That's
Minus
what it
10
did.
damage across all ranks.
I love that change, and the fact that that's as simple as the change is, and then they wrote a book explaining it.
Well, I always thought it was funny when I see this, the change. They remade Kassadin, and then other champions and other items got changed or tweaked a little bit over the course of whatever number of patches when Kassadin got remade, and now he's becoming a problem again, because people realize that having a spell shield in lane means a melee champ wins lane, because he can't take damage against the champions that he counters. So while he's not the hyper carry he was before, he's nearly unkillable near the end game, and it's really easy for him to get to 6 at this point. Easier than it ever was.
Yep.
And he's always been
He's
that
still
way.
a problem. He's always going to be a problem. It sounds like they've got some bigger changes in the works, but it's going to take some time to put them in, flush him out to make his kit less of a disaster.
Just need to remove him from the game. Can we just like get rid of Kassadin? Can we just wipe him out? You know, like, I'm sorry. Like, Riot just needs to like put a note out. We fucked up. We brought a toxic champion to the game. Sorry.
Delete him the first time a champion's been deleted.
And
after
your
it's been
skins,
released.
you get refunds. We'll just give you your RP back for that, for all the skins you bought for him, you know. Katarina change. Attack frame sped up slightly. That doesn't mean Katarina attacks faster. She just completes her attacks more quickly.
More responsive for last hitting.
Yeah. I've always felt it was kind of weird.
I never really cared because her spells are so good to kill.
I was about to say, you
anyways.
can last hit with Q and E, so and
W.
And W. You can last hit with every single one of her abilities because she's not punished by spamming them.
Yep. Oh well. Congrats, Kat.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a big deal.
I think, you know, okay, so this is a quality of life change just to make it so she can last hit better, but I think it's
all right,
funny.
you say that. You say
You know, it is. It's a quality of life change just so she can last hit better when she's in lane, but it's funny if you read what Riot said about this, because I love their little patch summaries now that they actually put them in there. And it was basically, we were going to change her to compensate for DFG, but then we realized if we change her, we'd probably make her too powerful. So here's a buff!
Yep.
And this is something I found while like tweaking some potential changes to her. And I thought, oh, okay, well, all these changes we're going to make aren't necessary, but this bug fix is nice, so we'll do that.
Yeah, here's a bone. Have fun with it. All right, so Kennen got a change, and I think this change is ginormous. I already said that Kennen is back. I think this change solidifies Kennen as back. Because W now is able, as soon as somebody is hit by Slicing Maelstrom, you can cast W on that person. Or, you can't. It doesn't reset the cooldown. You could, as soon as one person is hit by it, you can cast W. So every person that gets hit by your ultimate will get hit by W, assuming they're in range to get hit by W when you activate the ability. It was really strange for me to read at first, but I went and tested it in a game. Yeah, as soon as, I only used one person. As soon as I did my R, they had no other stacks on them. I could press W for full damage.
Oh, that's
So for clarification, they don't need Mark of the Storm anymore.
Correct.
So long as they're on your ultimate, you can hit them with W.
And as long as they're in range and they've been hit by your ultimate at least one tick. Because it ticks every 0.5 seconds. Yes, it is terrifying. It means he does way more damage than he ever did, because if you get a 5-man ult off, you are going to get a max damage W. That doesn't mean you're getting the max stun, because the stun is based off the passive of W. It just means you're getting the damage. While they did change something, though, the Slicing Maelstrom, it no longer stacks at 0.25 seconds, which was really silly. It stacks at 0.5, so that is a nerf to Slicing Maelstrom from when they buffed it. But at 0.5 seconds, you're stunning somebody in 1.5 seconds total.
right.
Assuming you're not, assuming there's no auto attacks or E's that you've passed through them and gotten an extra Mark of the Storm, because it takes 3 Marks of the Storm to stun somebody. But yes, if that doesn't make sense to anybody who's listening out there, that you can do free instant damage on top of your ult damage to somebody with W, then you need to pull your head out of the sand and realize Kennen is actually really good now.
I guess I'll learn them.
Yeah, you need to. Don't max Q. Don't make the mistake that I did when I first started playing him. You max W and then E, and Q is last. Unless you are being bullied hard and need to last hit. And a couple of points early into Q. Because W is your main source of damage, because every 4 auto attacks you get to put a Mark of the Storm on somebody. After 3 of them, they're stunned and take damage, but you can press W early when they have 1 or 2 Marks of the Storm to get free damage off. So you just use it to harass in lane with your auto attacks. It's pretty complicated, but easy once you realize how easy Kennen is. Sorry, I love Kennen after those changes.
We can tell. You're pretty excited.
Yeah. I need water really bad.
You're all aboard the Kennen electric.
Woo woo!
Electric slide.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, but I didn't think it was appropriate.
We're on the electric train, baby.
Why not?
Woo woo! New
Stick your riding
age.
electric slide.
All right, Nidalee. No power change, just some proper documentation going on here. Passive prowl tooltip now properly indicates that hunted monsters are rooted for 2 seconds. And general, fixed a bug when Nidalee's cooldowns were not properly set when switching from human to cougar form.
Now, I don't want to say the stats that I've seen are de facto and 100% correct, but from what I've seen, Nidalee's in the top 5 for like win rates for junglers, mid laners, and top laners right now.
Yeah, I've seen that same stat.
Pretty good for a champion that, you know, has been nerfed and changed slightly and then nerfed some more and then completely decided to be changed from a champion that can build both or hybrid, like AP-AD hybrid or whatever.
Kassadin.
Yeah.
In that regard, from we mentioned earlier.
Cat form Kassadin.
Cat form Kassadin.
Where she just keeps coming back to the problem.
Kassadin.
No matter what they do to her, she always comes back and she's always really good. And then they have to put her down again. Like, bad cat.
Wow.
Yeah,
You got to kill the cat? Jeez, got to go to a farm. Send Nidalee off to a farm.
I don't want to say that. Nidalee is so much fun to play. She's one of my favorites, but she is a problem.
Wow.
Well, and the other thing is, too, like, she's a huge problem out of the jungle, and that's just from... there's counterplay to Nidalee in lane. Yeah, she can bully you out because she has great range and everything like that, but if she's going to throw spears at you, you can kind of position on the other side of minion waves to not get hit by them, or position intelligently so you can see them coming from where she cast them or whatever. But if she's jungling and you don't have an area warded and she's sitting there waiting for you to peek out and then she domes you with a spear, if she's building full AP out of the jungle, which I've seen, and we've also run into a guy that does fan games with us.
We've got a fan that does it, yeah.
Our buddy Bao Bao, who plays a lot of jungle Nidalee, and he's terrifying at her. It's way easier to land spears from an area where people can't see you than when they can see you. So if you're playing Nidalee, you can sit off to the side and just chuck a spear and hit somebody in the face.
Speaking of Nidalee, I don't think your Nidalee in your lap likes what you're doing to her. She keeps flicking her tail.
It's because I'm holding her tail because she keeps smacking me in the face with it.
Yeah.
For the people who aren't watching the video, midway through the show, my cat decides to jump up and start rubbing against the microphone, which is just a pain in the ass. And now she's sitting on me, just smacking me in the face with her tail. So I'm holding it down, and she's pissed. So it makes her wiggle her tail even more. And she's just a bad-mannered cat. Stop it!
She's just a goddamn Nidalee.
Sure, cat.
All right, Twisted Fate had a change where stacked deck now builds on towers but will not apply bonus damage. I like this change because you can get that, you can use it to auto attack a minion or a champion or whatever it is. You're able to stack your passive and use it when you are sieging a tower at any point in time. It's kind of like Draven with his Qs. You can keep his Qs going as long as you're smacking a tower, and it allows you to fight somebody if you are ganked or whatever it may be. That's the hidden power buff. Anybody else?
I don't care.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, for all those out there, we don't care about the change, so we're not going to talk about it. Well, Destiny now pings when you use it.
I like.
Yeah, no. I love the Destiny thing. They're starting to do this more with after Rek'Sai and being able to teleport across the map and it doing the on my way ping the spot you're teleporting to. I love seeing this on Twisted Fate. I'm hoping to see this on Shen sometime in the future. I really like this because now it makes those situations where you want to go in and make something happen and you didn't happen to ping and you show up and your team backs off and meanwhile you're there and they just turn and kill you and you're sitting there like a very sad card master, with your giant Yu-Gi-Oh!
You're sitting there as if you were dealt a bad hand.
Yeah. There you go, Adam. Bad puns.
You could say that. Pantheon could use this too, actually.
Yeah, that would.
There are a lot of times when Pantheon jumps in and he lands and he's like, "Oh, I'm ready to fight people."
See, Adam, I was gonna make a Yu-Gi-Oh joke or hit Twisted Fate's heart not being in the cards or something really bad, but you beat me to the draw. So.
Man. Just deal with it, okay? Yeah. Varus, Chain to Corruption, Missile Width has been increased to 120 from 100. Punch, Varus changes. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent.
Very good. It's hard to tell what kind of how big the impact is going to be without playing it first, but I'm inclined to believe that since this tended to be hard to hit for some reason. It was notorious for being a skill shot that was missed quite often.
Well, it moves slow. Like the time when you cast it and the time that it actually goes off is.
And it kind of squiggles
noticeable.
its way.
It squiggles.
That's exact. It feels like it squiggles.
Yeah.
I mean, visually,
Sometimes it feels like a squiggles around the champion. You're like, how the hell did that happen? So yeah, this will help with that. Varus has actually gotten. Varus has gotten nothing but like little small buffs like this for a long period of time. He actually hasn't been nerfed since he was really strong a long time ago. There was one point where he was at the top of the meta, and I was playing him pretty much every game. And since then, nothing's really changed.
You know what? That's funny because I used Varus for a long time. I remember telling Cheer I was like gold 2 or gold 3. I carried hard with Varus because you can just snipe people with Q.
Yep. Well, that was also during the time where Varus's Q damage was through the roof, or I mean, people were building up the 3 autos and then just launching a Q and chunking people for a ridiculous amount of health and calling it a day. Yeah, just forcing them out of lane. It's like, whatever, I don't have mobility, but who cares about your mobility if you're backing every 2 waves?
Yep, just miscellaneous changes to the game and other champions kind of just forced
bringing him back a little bit.
He still has a lot of power in his kit, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him return at some point. It's especially since he can hold his own against the meta ADCs right now. Against Corki, he could definitely lane against Corki. Graves a little bit hard over time, but he could survive that lane no problem. Sivir will be a bit tricky, since especially if she's fast on the spell shield, because she can block his ult, and she can definitely block his Q, so he won't be able to poke with that. He has to rely on auto attacks and getting a fast Q off to proc his W. Assuming she doesn't.
I want to play Varus now.
Assuming she doesn't see that coming. And Callista would be one that would give him some trouble, though, just because it's hard enough to hit with his ult.
Yeah.
And she's constantly moving, so good luck snagging her. But one of the things that I feel really hurts Varus is people like Jarvan and Lissandra, who can jump on him and blow him up before he has a chance to use his ult. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that
I guess that's what I was going to bring up. Is why you would play Sivir, because she has a spell shield, so you can block damage at least from any of the sources. Or
she has the spell shield, and when she pops her ult, she has the mobility to be able to move out. This is one of my gripes with Varus is all of his abilities for the most part, they hit, like his Q hits really hard. When he can build up his W on somebody and then launch an E into him, hits pretty hard. With the fact that it has a built-in kind of, God, this cat keeps smacking the mic, ignite and everything like that on it. Well, not ignite, but the
healing
previous wounds. Yeah. But all of his abilities have a cast time on them. So the faster you are, the easier it is to get out of stuff. That was, and that's one of the big issues, especially if you're playing against Callista, like you brought up, because she can jump to the left and right, forward and back, wherever the hell she wants so easily. Really hard to hit that champion with slow-moving skill shots. Yep. Really hard for that champion to hit very fast champions with the slow-moving skill shots, unless you're just really on point with Varus and you've played him enough to lead shots in the appropriate way or whatever. But most people don't play him all the time, so you don't see that kind of high-level Varus play. And then you run into the champions again, like you brought up, Lissandra, Jarvan, Gnar, who can get to you, anybody who can kind of move you closer to a fight. So yeah, Vi, anybody who can just kind of stop you in your tracks because you're not getting away from him, even if you have flash.
It sounds like Varus's mobility really is a thorn in our side, just like Zyra with her changes here with Deadly Bloom and Grasping Roots. And
good one.
Yeah, that was a beautiful segue.
Damn it, you're not supposed to point it out. Her deadly the Q and E now have a range indicator on them when the plants are available, so you can see how far away the plants can hit a enemy champion, which is just a nice quality of life buff for new players. And well, it's also for old players, so now you can actually see how far away your plant can be when you're putting it out.
Now, how does this affect Smite Zyra?
Oh God,
probably doesn't affect her at all.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think you got to worry about it.
Yeah, spell shields on Sivir and Nocturne have been changed. Squelch, push it away, push it down. Thank you, Base Riot. So a while ago, this is week 2 of the LCS, or was it they disabled Sivir and then they brought her right back, because if you hit her spell shield, as soon as a damage source or as soon as a disable source was coming to you or something that spell shield could absorb, anything that hits you at that same exact time as you were absorbing that spell did no damage. So if you were being autoed while you were absorbing a Corki R, for example, nothing. You practically absorbed two pieces.
Right. Another example I saw was Lissandra would Q Sivir, and as she blocked the Q, Lissandra would also cast ult at the same time and unblock both spells. So it could be an extreme like that too, where you're just blocking two huge spells.
And I will say, Riot did immediately almost bring her back into play and said that the likelihood of that
they let her be played that week.
Yeah, they said the likelihood of that actually happening was so low, didn't really matter.
Yes, but the spell shield blocking like that, the QR is.
That being said,
impossible.
if it did happen to you in a situation where you're trying to kill Sivir, that sucks.
Yeah. What do you say?
So,
What do you say to
yeah,
that?
Shit happens.
So
And I guess the same thing happened for Nocturne?
Yes, Shroud of Darkness got changed as well. So you can no longer do that, though that Nocturne wasn't as played as much as Sivir was during those times.
And Banshee's Veil. I didn't know it affected Nocturne and Banshee's Veil.
I didn't realize I expected Banshee's Veil, but that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
They should all work the same.
And
So
the
they're working
Banshees, I could see the Banshee's Veil being a bigger thing, because if multiple people are throwing disables at one person to knock down that Banshees and they all land around the similar time, that would kind of suck if everything just got completely nixed.
Right.
Because
Well,
I mean that's not like a shield where you have to time it coming up for the most part. That's just once it's active until you throw a spell at it.
Right. Well, it's a good thing. Well, hey, it's fixed, so
Yeah.
go to Riot for acknowledging that. So two big changes here with Farsight Orb and Greater Stealth Totem, which I think will hopefully be able to round the podcast out with this. I mean, there's a couple other changes in the patch, but Farsight Orb now drops a 60-second visible Farsight ward with 1 hit point at target location. This ward is untargetable by allies. That's something that people note. You cannot teleport to this ward. Farsight Orb still provides a clear vision in the area and tags champions in case you were worried it being turned into a wimpy ward teleporter. And Greater Stealth Totem is basically a mini Sightstone. It can hold 2 charges that charge every 60 seconds, which both of these are huge. Like this takes a whole new game on vision ward or vision battles and everything.
Upgraded Yellow Totem was already really good. I was getting that every game as a marksman. So I'm definitely going to keep getting it. It looks amazing now. What were you going to say, Shira?
I was going to say, I like Greater Stealth Totem change now because as a top laner, I didn't really like having to pick up the sight, or excuse me,
Sweeper,
thank you. I didn't really like having that because there was still I'd be level 9, 10, or 11 in lane because you're a little longer in top lane than other lanes, and I needed that extra ward because you never knew if that jungler was going to show up. So
especially if you're split pushing.
Yes,
right. That is a huge thing to bring up. Like if you're playing a split pushing top laner, having those extra wards,
having
huge.
2 wards.
I mean that's so much extra information for when you're trying to make those pushes,
and pretty much free money. What is it? It costs $250 to upgrade it, right?
Yep.
So that's 4 ward drops to make it.
So
worth its money.
With the Farsight changes, the Farsight Orb changes. Does this mean that once you upgrade it, you get basically a free deep ward whenever you cast? Like,
yeah, as soon as you upgrade it, you get a free trinket, a 60-second trinket ward.
Well, they can kill it with 1 hit, though.
The
way I
fine.
see this is, so if you used Farsight before and you saw somebody, then good, it did its job, right? I found them, they're right here. Okay, then it goes away and you're happy because your Farsight Orb worked. But if you use Farsight Orb and you don't see anybody, well, then you're kind of bummed. You're like, oh, well, they're not there. Which can still be helpful, as Foxdrop mentioned. I mean, not knowing where people is still very helpful. Right. But it wasn't very satisfying, because like, well, they're not there, but they could still be in this other bush. So in my mind, this change kind of makes it so that it works kind of like the former way, where as soon as you see somebody, you got some information. That's what this ward does. As soon as this ward picks up somebody, they're going to kill it immediately. So you're not going to get that much lasting vision. Some, but not much. But at least you know if they're there. Or that they are there. If you don't see them at first, you knew that they were nearby.
Right. Well, this gives you longer vision of that area so that you can see if they walk back into that bush after, because you may have just missed them. And then they or, like the big change here out of all this is the dragon and Baron. You can now Farsight orb as you run to one or the other and have 60 seconds of vision on it. And you can actually place that because of how far out the Farsight orb can go, with its radius, that you could place that at the front of each pit as you're walking to it from like red buff or something. And now you have 60 seconds of vision to see them taking that objective, so you can go and try to steal it. Or contest it, rather, I should say.
You can see it. Well, I mean, you can see immediately if they're taking it, which it would do that before, or you can see if within that 60-second time frame they approach the Baron.
Well, and you can see them as they are taking it, continuing to take it past the length of the Farsight orb. So if you Farsight orb and then they are on Baron, but you don't know how long it takes for them to kill Baron, you have 60 seconds to see how long it takes for them, assuming they don't kill it with the sweeper. Does that make sense? So you could, as always,
that's a good. No, it's visible. It's a visible ward.
It's visible.
Oh,
you
it's
don't need a
completely
super
visible.
for
Okay,
it. Yeah. In fact, I was when I first read that, I didn't read the visible part, and I was like, wow, this could be like ridiculously overpowered. And the fact that you're running, like, if a support just happens to be running past one part of the map, you could just basically run to where the entrance to blue buff is near dragon side on your purple side, and throw a ward in that junction from wolves to blue buff, and you have a deep ward that you didn't even need to run all the way up the plant for 60 seconds. Like,
but it still slows people down. Even one auto attack, that's 1 second, 1.5.
I mean, that's a second you're buying that they're not ganking you and that they're there or something like that. I see this being really interesting in that, or you could be one of those situations where you pick this up and you drop it on the other side of red buff through that bush that's great to deep ward.
Right.
I mean, 60 seconds is, it's not too long, but if you know that somebody's on that side of the map, especially if you pick this up early, and I'm not saying to pick this up early, but if you do, that's a lot of potential information, knowing where a jungler's at, or knowing you run by the dragon pit and you drop a Farsight orb ward on the other side of somebody's red buff, so you know if the mid laner is going to roam down or something like that. That's huge. Like,
I'm curious.
It's really big.
Even though it's visible, is this going to proc Raptor?
I mean, I would think so. If pink wards do, yes.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So then you could use it on somebody is near or on or going to Raptor in the next 60 seconds.
Yeah, and it just murders the Raptor.
Granted, you probably are not going to have this item upgraded or anything like by the time you won't have it upgraded early, because you can't upgrade it to level 9 anyway. And a jungler more than likely isn't going to take it, because like Lee Sin, I can see taking the greater stealth totem now instead of a sweeper. Granted, I still think sweeper should definitely be picked up on a jungler and a support, but a Lee Sin, instead of picking up a sight stone, could spend 250 gold rather than 900 and have 2 wards when it comes with greater stealth totem. And now he has an extra chance to get away, and he can use that money on more damage, for example, rather than having the sweeper. This just makes me wonder if this actually puts the losing team behind more, because the losing team now has to spend more money on sweepers, or if this actually does this bring the losing team behind more, because the losing team needs sweepers to get rid of the wards, or does the losing team need to get more vision out there?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at the same time, it's going to help them out a bit, because it's going to help them avoid the enemy team, who has a large amount of map control, right? They're probably prowling around in your jungle, and so you need to get wards up in there so you know how far out in the lane you can go, and if you can take your jungle buffs, and if you can go ward Baron. I feel like the team that's behind needs the vision more than the enemy team does.
Yeah. Well, and the other part of that too is, how many times have we seen a team get ahead and then they use that extra money for vision anyway? I mean, appropriately, you see that in the LCS when, they get a small advantage, they pick up a couple extra wards, and they use that ward vision in enemy's jungle or somewhere else to snowball their advantage into something more and continue building that advantage through picks or what have you. This is going to make it so that the team that isn't winning, or even the team that is winning, if they want to go this route, is still going to be able to provide that vision but they don't have to invest the money into it. So if you're behind, you don't have to spend that extra money on vision that you can build potentially into items because you're getting 2 free wards every time you go back to base or every time the charges are up. And if you're ahead, you have 2 free wards potentially that you can just drop wherever you feel like to continue snowballing your advantage. So this opens up way more diversity, and the fact that sweeper isn't the de facto, everybody should potentially have this at the end of the game. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing more of like one person with the upgraded scrying, 2 people with the trinket, and then the other 2 with the sweeper.
Right.
I just hope it doesn't get to the point where there's so many wards it's pointless to try and sweep them.
I was gonna say
Nobody
the
gets
same
red wards
thing.
anymore. They're like,
Well, I mean,
screw it.
it's
Everyone's
still-
putting down 6 wards. It's
So we
not
get
worth
so
it.
now we have to,
Well, it's
but
still a
now-
maximum of 3 wards per person.
Yeah, but
Right.
that if you can more reliably keep those 3 wards per person out there because you don't have to spend the extra money to put those wards out there. It's just time rather than money. That
Right.
could potentially lead to be more vision on the
Well,
map.
and mind you, these wards will be gated by a charge similar to the way Smite is.
right,
So
yeah,
it's
it's a
not,
60-second charge. That's why I said it's gated. I just said it's time rather than money.
Yeah. and it's time rather than just backing and having your ward up again.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to build over time, so it's not. It's going to add some more skill to use and knowing how to wait for your wards to come up near when you want to go get dragon or lining up the cooldown and other stuff. It's going to be interesting. It's going to add some interesting choices to make. Which I'm happy with because I hate seeing everybody going one particular thing because it's far better than everything else, which is how things tend to go, because especially when one thing is definitively better than others. But I don't know. I'm excited to see these changes roll through and see how they influence the game, especially if people decide to go back and get. If you get 2 wards early and you can throw 2 wards down, or have 1 ward up, and then as soon as it dies, you immediately have another one. That's also huge for laning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's why I said in the top lane I'll probably take it more often
Yeah.
than not. Ignite had a change here where fire's pretty distracting, man. Something that should have been changed a while ago. You cannot back as long as Ignite is ticking on you. You can press the B button. Ignite will stop that. Great. Okay. Fine. Quality of life changed, in my opinion. Like, just it should happen. If you're on fire, you shouldn't be able to go back to base. Just like if you're taking damage. Cherry, you brought up a good point earlier. Where if I would rather see them fix the you did damage to them, but they're still able to go back bug, where there's like you have like 0.5 seconds or 0.1 second of immunity.
Yep.
At the very end of your back. I don't know if other people have noticed that, but I've definitely abused it before.
Yeah. No. I made a comment before the show of, for anybody who's been trying to kill somebody who's backing and then they throw a skill shot or something that hits them and they go back at the end, I would be happier if a shield, like a circular energy shield, showed up around them and this skill shot went bouncing off in a random ass direction so that at least I felt like my ability landed. It just landed too late. Then know that it landed and then still go home safe.
Right.
Without any of the satisfaction of at least seeing some sort of indicator other than just a chunk or a sound going off and them being fine and them not dying.
With a ricochet shot, have friendly fire? I think that'd be sweet.
Ricochets? Oh, yeah, that would be great if it
And
bounced
it comes
off and
back and
smacked you
hits
back
you?
in the face and kills you.
You throw. You throw an
Ezreal
Q.
Q.
Yeah, and it bounces off.
It
Ezreal
stuns
ult
you.
bounces off, murders somebody. That'd be great.
One last change here that I want to talk about. Yeah, the Spectrus Cowl has its health increase. Great, whatever. Excuse me.
It's a health regen.
Yeah, health regen increase. One I want to point out, and this will be more for like the Four Wards podcast when they launch in March, is that camera changes. The camera, when you press Y, it will now, it doesn't lock directly on the middle of your character. It's offset based on the side of the map you're on. If you're on red side, it's offset to your left, and if you're on blue side, it's offset to your right. I think I said that correctly. So you see more of your right, you see more of your left. And if you played in lock camera, you're going to have a hard time adjusting to this. If you didn't play in lock camera, this might make you This might make you use lock camera in team fights more often if you lose yourself. Basically, this is just a great newbie buff that aren't used to playing with unlock camera. So if you're having a hard time with one or the other, you might want to try playing with lock camera now that they've changed this. Because you can see more. All I'm saying is you can see more of the map in front of your face. So
where most of the action should be.
Yeah, we're in front of you rather than on you.
Or behind you.
Or behind you. Well, if it's behind you, unlock your damn camera because it's not going to show you correctly.
Right.
I can't play with lock camera. Just can't do it anymore. That's it. That's patch 5.3. That's our rundown of it. We also
Adam, guess what happened tonight? We got to go long.
Oh, see, I told you. Historically, every time I say it.
Short patch, still go all the way. That's what I like to see.
Well, I always go all the way, baby.
We did it, guys.
I don't know what that means.
That means
No.
You don't even know what to say here, do you, Adam?
Well, I can't. Like, I know we have the explicit tag, but I don't want to be that explicit. When you go, I can't.
What is this going all the way?
Chair's not making noises. Wait. You know what I'm talking about.
Sounds like you need to get your chair fixed.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it's a little squeaky.
you need some oil for that squeakiness.
We are going log, baby. See you guys next week.
See you later.
See ya.